And I know also fundraising can be a challenge, especially when you look
Absolutely.
at HBCUs.
Right.
So,
And the big issue there, of course, as the economy tightens up and has
right,
tightened up over the years, and many of our students come to us with greater financial needs than they have in the past.
right.
Then their parent, many of them, the kinds of jobs they have, and if they have a job, will not take care of their expenses. So, yes, fundraising is an issue in terms of trying to increase fundraising. And we have worked with the National Alumni Association that has been very mindful of this issue, and they are supporting us in trying to get alumni to increase giving, to provide more scholarships, and to be more supportive for us.
And then you mentioned the economy. Due to cuts in state and federal funding, how have you observed that the fundraising landscape has changed?
Well, it has changed tremendously because, for example, just let me use the state. We have a state formula that determines the amount of money that the public higher education institutions will receive.
Mm-hmm.
And according to that formula, we are at about 92% of our need. And I don't agree with that, but that's what the formulas say. And of course, that means that we did not get any new money because of the reductions in general revenue. So we didn't get any new money. So that means that we have to manage with what we have of less as we go into the new academic year. However, we just finished the legislative session, and beyond what's provided in our state formula, we do have the option to work with our delegation to encourage them to provide additional support for us. So we just know that we don't have enough, but we not as bad off as we could have been.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned the changes that have undergone at the university. Like, so academically wise, what would you say have been some of the initiatives?
Yeah, well, several things. One, we have had a decrease in enrollment for the last 3 or 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we know why. One of the things that we did, we consciously had to increase our admission requirement and raise the grade point requirement for students to be admitted to the program. Now, you said, well, why would you do that? Well, you have to understand that as our mission, according to our mission, that's why we were established to serve those students that are economically deprived and those students that are from this part of the state. And so as a result of that, increasing the grade point average, we know that we were not able to admit some of those students that we previously were able to admit. Mm-hmm. Also, in the part of the state where we're in the southeast Delta region, which historically was more agriculture, but over the years the economic base has transferred from southeast Arkansas, when it was all agriculture, to northwest now, where it is more industrial, and that's where most of the larger businesses are. Mm-hmm. So the population has declined. So those areas where we get most of our students from, they're not graduating as many students from the public schools. So naturally, we don't get as many of those students coming to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, as you leave the position, what message would you like to deliver to students and alumni?
Well, first, I would like to just thank them for their support. Mm-hmm. We've had to move very rapidly this year because a lot of things that I wanted to get in place in preparation for the transition to new leadership.
Right.
So the faculty, staff, and students have been very supportive, and I would just like to say thanks to them. And at the same time, I would just need to remind them that we're in an era now of accountability, mm-hmm. and we have to be more accountable for the few dollars that we receive. And the state has some mandates that we must meet in the areas of retention, graduation rates, and tying jobs to diplomas to jobs, and all those kinds of things. So I would say to them that we have to be mindful of our mission, but at the same time, we have to make sure and ensure that we're using the dollars that we get in a way that we're being accountable, and we must be conscious of cost-saving measures. we have a cost-saving committee here on campus, and they help us to identify areas where we can cut costs and how we can save. So I would just say to them, we must be mindful of all those kinds of things, but at the same time, we must focus on our mission and our students, because the better our students perform, the better off we will be, and the more frequently they will qualify for loans and grants and scholarships, and the things that's needed most by them to stay in school.
Okay. And speaking of the new leadership, I know your position has required great responsibility and leadership. So what would be your advice to offer to the new chancellor, Dr. Lawrence Alexander?
Well, I would tell him the same thing that I tried to be mindful of when I came here, and that was, first of all, having been on this campus, as we discussed earlier, I know it's important that we listen very closely to the faculty, to the students, to the staff. We must also listen to the Department of Higher Education, and we must listen to our policymakers, because at the end of the day, they're the one that's going to hold us accountable for the monies that they give to us. So my suggestion to him would be to be mindful of all those kinds of things, and listen, and then make decisions based on sound advice. And if he does that, I think he will be very successful. And never forget the fact that we are operating and we live within a community and within a state, and we have to partner with those agencies that can help us accomplish our goals.
Well, Dr. Johnson, we thank you for your time today and the time that you have served as interim at UAPB.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to talk about it.